Hello everybody and welcome back to Cities Skylines 2, where it is currently dark. Very dark. There's no doubt about that. It is currently exceedingly dark. We'll take forward on maximum speed, and I would like to eliminate some of these abandoned structures over here. Okay, performance is spicy right now. I just started up the game, and I was hoping that things would be running a little bit better. But that doesn't appear to be the case. So I think we're running into some of those performance issues that that this game has a bit of a reputation for. I think that's definitely starting to be the case. Oh, that was a pretty big frame drop there, no doubt about it. It seems to run... Okay, yeah, this is not great. No doubt about that. Let's continue to get rid of some of these abandoned structures, and we might want to consider turning off the nighttime right now because I'm thinking about doing another round of expansion here, specifically because we're seeing our low-density residential demand continue to creep up, and we need to decide where exactly we want to expand. We have the option of expanding out here now. That is something we can do. We grabbed these tiles because we wanted to be able to export electricity. And we're currently still negative financially, so further expansion would be a very good thing. We are seeing our population increase, but that trend has dropped due to lack of housing, I'm willing to bet. So I'm going to hop into the options here real quick, and we're going to turn off the day-night visuals for right now. Oh, that was very bright for a moment. Okay, and we are going to think about where we want to put additional residential. So, first things first, let's look at that air pollution. We do not want to put residential here. We can definitely put residential out over here. So that is an interesting option, to be sure. We do have that as an option. Okay, in that case, I'd kind of like to develop just this area down here. We can't run high voltage lines underground, can we? If we can run high voltage lines underground, that would be ideal, or like through an underwater conduit. So let's check that real quick. If we can do that, then the ideal scenario here is that our power line, our high voltage power line here, comes out into the water and then ends up going underwater here like this. And actually, that does work. So that means that we can ditch this entire section of power line here. We're still going to need this transformer here, but that's okay. We can run a separate underground power line up over this way. And actually, reworking these power lines to be fully underground would be a good thing. No doubt about that. So that would mean the ones in the north as well. I do want to connect here, and we would just put this like here, here. I might take this further underground and bring it out something like that. And then this would have to connect eventually up over here to something that is above ground. Like that. Eventually. But this... Actually, hang on. Can we just connect this underground? I think we can. I think we don't require a transition above ground here. So that just connects in here. That's beautiful. I love it. That is really, really good. So that means that we can bulldoze all of this. And I took it a little further down in preparation for our low voltage lines, which will be a little higher up. But that actually opens up a lot of space for us and removes a lot of ugliness up over here, right? So for now, of course, we're going to want to clean all of this up. What is this? Oh yeah, electricity bottleneck. That is to be expected. Okay, so we're going to clean all of this out of here for now. And that means that we can run this line basically directly over rather than being super roundabout like that. That sounds good. So I'm going to knock these back, and we'll just be notified that there's a connection missing there. That's good. And we can do something like this. We can remove all of this power line and take that nicely underground. Now, this is going to be interesting in seeing how we get that underground. I'm not entirely sure on that one just yet. But the idea here is then that we're going to grab from here. Can this actually just originate underground? The answer is yes, and it looks like these can just overlap. In which case, we would just take this down to here, connect it here, like that, and then this would connect up over here. This makes things very simple. I had no idea that we could do this, but it does make sense. I like it. So we then just connect that up there, and then this would connect to the dam here. And then we would bring this simply out this direction. And then it would connect in somewhere over here. Like that. That should do the trick there. And then as far as this transformer here goes, we can just connect that underground as well. This is not actually connected. That needs to go a little further down, I guess. Fair enough. So that needs to connect from here to here, which I believe is now connected. Yes? Yes. Okay, we should have no power bottlenecks. That gets rid of those unsightly power lines, which is good. The power keeps going out. Yeah, we were making some changes. That makes sense. So now the question is, are we still exporting power? And the answer appears to be yes. So that looks very, very good. At this point, I want to check in here. Service trade plus 1 million. Yep, we're definitely still exporting power. That looks very, very good. Now, we can start to work on expansion without being concerned about power lines. That sounds great. 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to need a 4th road, and then we're going to need our highway. Okay, so this guy would end up coming down here to 112. Right there. In theory. This is mildly awkward here, but sure. I think some of these are at a bit of an angle, like this one. That's reasonably fine. We can bring this guy over to be here, which is technically 111. Okay. No, that's actually absolutely fine. And then this road would get extended down to be here. This then would be a highway. So we can put in a marker for our highway here. Where would we end up putting this? Right here would be the answer. So a marker for the highway. And now that we know where that goes, we know that this will come down. A road would come over here.
That's right, Glenda.
Okay, so we're going to need a road down this direction. This is not going to be in the right place, but I'm just going to take this down to be here as a marker. And then this road would come over to about here. And we'll delete that. Cool, because that's almost certainly not in the right location. Then we can connect this road over here like so. And that should allow us to, that should be in basically the same place here. That should allow us to build these highways without having to worry about pillars. In theory. So we drop this here. Then the question is, can we get across this highway? Yes, we can. And this will come in over here. About there.
Thank you, Professor.
And then would want to come over here, but this is going to create an intersection directly over this highway. I don't know if we're going to have a problem with that, probably. I think it wants to drop a pillar right... Yeah, it wants to drop a pillar right on both of these highways.
You can now shop for designer shoes,
which is intriguing. What happens if we look to drop a roundabout somewhere up here? It would allow us to do it here or here. But what I want to do is I want to put it right in the center here. So I don't think we can get a pillar here. I would want to snap to angle only right now, just to see. No. We would have to put it here. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do for now. I'm going to take out these 2 sections of highway, and we're going to run this highway right on through here. About like that for now. Then we're going to put in the roundabout. That's an invalid shape from this side. Okay, whatever. Overlapping items. Yeah, we'll get that out of there. Put this in. And then extend that guy right on in. Beautiful. About like that. Now, there's pillars right there. And there's also pillars on... Actually, I think this side might be relatively clear. Okay, let's take a 2-lane one-way highway. And in... I think straight line tool would be decent for this. Although, I'm going to do it in curve tool. Let's see if we can just connect this up. Yeah, straight line tool is absolutely fine here. And we can just connect that, no problem. Can we connect this one? No. So we're going to have to reroute this one a little bit around. That's fine. I'm going to use curve tool here, and we'll just curve this out and over here. And then we will bring it out and in about there. And then bring it right back in about like that. It's a little awkward looking, no doubt about it, but should be reasonably fine. Now we can extend this highway southward. We need to elevate that. There we go. And I'm going to extend this guy out this way a little ways further, just so that we have enough space to work with here. Okay, so now we need to be thinking about what our on-off ramps here are going to look like. So I think number 1, it's going to look like we need to have one out over here, right? That is step 1. And this should really go up to a 3-lane at this point, at least for a while. Sort of something like that. And then this would go to 3-lane, but it would go down to 2-lane after this exit here. So the exit would end up going from here up to... Oh, that was not in curve tool. It would help to be in curve tool. That would end up going from about here up to about here or so. Okay, that looks good. We need to say no left-hand turn here. Like that. Then we're going to need an off-ramp over here that goes here and an off-ramp over here that goes here. So those are going to kind of merge together in an awkward way. An off-ramp here that goes here is viable. Okay, so currently, if you're here and you want to get to the roundabout, how do you do that? Currently, you just don't. But there's going to be a ramp here, for sure. About like that. And again, that ends up by... Ooh, I don't really like what that did to the altitude there. Let's get rid of that, and let's try moving this slightly back to be, like, over here. It's better. Okay. So, at this point, obviously, there's not really any way to get off of this highway and into our highway system in a good way, right? There are some bad ways to do it. Okay, something about, like, that should do. Okay, no left-hand turn here. So this is not complete at this point. No doubt about that. I'm thinking about how we want to do this from here. Okay, I have the beginnings of an idea. And that is basically that we want to grab a 2-lane, 2-way highway. And split this off about here. Like that. And do the same thing over on this side. Splitting that off over this way. I want to turn off some of the snapping and have this be about here or so. Okay. Now what we want to do is we want to take this and turn snapping back on. And we would, in the curve tool, move this guy over this way and connect it in there. And then we would move this guy, also in curve tool, up like that, right? And that allows us to have an on-ramp and an off-ramp over here. So then we would have this come in kind of like so, in an awkward way. I'm thinking about how we want to structure this, because this is going to have to come off over this direction, like that. And I don't like this lane crossage. That's going to cause issues. But this is the broad concept of how I want it to go. So this would end up going in here. One of these is going to have to go under the other, is the answer. Okay. So which one do we want to come underneath? That would be probably this one that wants to come up over here. About like that. And then out this direction, we can get rid of this. And that would be the off-ramp here and the on-ramp here, right? So it would end up coming off here and coming on here. So that would end up being this ramp. Oh, that's horrific. That's slightly better. Okay, so something about like that. I don't know about room. Room is going to be interesting here. That's for sure. But what I want to do is have an off-ramp up over here that connects in over here while going over top of this. That's going to be very complicated to do, and I think we're going to need more space here. So I think what we need to do is have our off-ramp get built first, and that off-ramp will come up over like that or so, with the idea being that it comes down here. That's currently sloped too steep, so we might have to back it off a little bit further. And it would come down over here. This is kind of a mess of an intersection, but I mean, given what we've got going on here, I'm not surprised about that. I think we need a little bit more space here. So that ends up meaning that we want to just kind of bring this in almost straight shot over this way. But I want to turn this down and bring this up to be about 5 meters at this point. And then bring it in. Out over here. I really don't like that it's building this wall here because, of course, we want to utilize that wall to head out over this way. So this is not optimal. No doubt about that. But what if we deleted just that segment and brought this guy out? I want to lower this back down. Brought this out over here and kept this fairly low up until it reaches this point or so. And then merge it up kind of like that. And then connect this guy over here. That gives overlapping items. But what if we bring this back up to 10 meters? Drop it here. Hang on, we need straight line. And I want this to be like no snapping except to angle. So we just put that as close as possible here. And then we bring it down over this way. And theoretically, that works. It's not the prettiest thing in the world. I'll give it that. But it does function. So now what we need to do is we need to bring, and I want to get this back up in terms of elevation step. I want to do basically the same thing out over here. So I want to bring this guy out about here or so. Pillar issue. About here or so. And we want to simply connect that in out over here where we can. There's a pillar issue right here, which is problematic for us. We're going to have to remove that section of highway temporarily. And then this can come in out over this way. Invalid shape, slope too steep. This is a viable option, though. So something like that. This is a very similar setup to what we had before. Now we can delete this, and we can reconnect this section of highway over this way. So that ends up connecting over here if we can drop a pillar here. And then reconnect it here. In theory, that should work. Snap it only to angle. Okay, let's get rid of this. We'll keep this as a marker. And this here is, of course, pretty steep of an angle, but that's fine. I want to extend this out, and we just bring this in right here like that. Now there's no pillar here. Then what we do is we use curve tool, and we bring out an exit somewhere over here, and then bring that up and over here. That slope too steep, so we might have to do it like out over here. Yeah, doable. Then we say no left turn here and no left turn here. This is a mess of an intersection. There's no doubt about that, but it should function. So from here, we can use the curve tool and turn snapping on. We connect from here to just on the other side of this road. Then we bring this guy in down here. Okay, so that's coming back slope too steep. That's kind of wild there. Snap only to angle, please. It's attempting to bring this in here. Okay, I think we take this out. It's arcing back upwards, which I don't necessarily want it to do. See how it's arcing back upwards there? So what if we were to just bring this in over this way? Well, we can't actually do that. So we need to lower our elevation step here, and we need to put this at 5 meters is too low. 6.25 meters. We can get to 7.5 meters here. Okay. Now we lower it down to 0. That's still slope too steep at 9.7% grade. I have questions.
A driving advisory has been issued for the immediate area
Okay.
due to poor road conditions. Please
So we're going to
exercise
need
caution
to
if you
bring
must
this in
and try to
somewhere
stay off
over
the
here. We
streets
can
until
probably
conditions
find a
improve.
place to do it.
This has been a local public service announcement.
Emphasis on
Pending
probably.
updates to our power
There
grid,
must be a way
the
to
city
do
will
this.
be
So what I
experiencing
want to do is I
rolling
want to
blackouts.
remove
Urge the
this
public
and
to
we'll
remain
rebuild it.
calm during these
I want to bring
breaks
this
in
out
service
over
and to
here,
follow the guidelines on the
setting it
city's
to
website
be
on how
at
to
the
plan
bare
for these
minimum
temporary
as far as
breaks.
this will go.
This has been a local public service.
So that's
announcement.
7.5 meters here.
You're listening to Second Moon.
Then we try 0 again, and let's see what that ends up looking like. A 9.7 and 8.2% grade, and that's too steep. Really? At 8.2%. It would work at 8. That would end up bringing it in right here, which is kind of interesting, actually. Well, we can get this upgraded here, for sure. And then this area over here should absolutely be 3 lanes. So it'll end up being something kind of like that, although actually I kind of hate the way that that ended up working. Let's do this instead.
Though I do thank you for
Yes.
the honor.
So this can be 3 lane all the way up to here. And then this will be 3 lane all the way through here up to this point. This will go down to 2 lane, and the exit here should be relatively clean. I don't think there's a problem there necessarily. As far as this goes, we could think about taking it to 4 lane, like this. So if there's a dedicated lane for each of these,
Here's a tune just for you.
and then
I
they
do hope
merge
it provides
down,
some aching spirit, some modest desolation.
potentially into 3 lanes and then
Interesting
into 2
news from
lanes.
The city's export division. Sources tell
Or
us
we
that
just
the
merge
whole
it like
city
this.
has
We'll see
more
if this
services
creates
than we
problems,
know what
but
to
there's a
do with.
dedicated
And you know
entryway
what that
here
means,
now.
folks.
We could
It
do a
means we're
similar
not
sort of thing
cutting
here,
things
although
close
this
enough.
road may need to be
Well,
moved for
no,
that.
The point is we're selling it and bringing money into local.
Or
economy.
what we could do
almost
here
say
is we could
it's too
simply
much
make
of a good
this
Or we
go into a
could say
tri-lane
we're
here,
enjoying a positive
and then
trade
come in
balance,
something
and
kind
the
of like
economy
that.
is booming.
So this
More
expands into 3 lanes here.
Our
I would like to
story
change
this hour.
where this
Kim
ends up
is
connecting up
unseen
here, though.
outside
So
and
actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to
abandoned
redo that,
That's right,
and we're
Jim.
going to bring this
This
guy
decaying
down
shell is a symbol of the industrial decline
and bring it
sweeping
in
the
about
city.
here. But
People
I'd
are being
like
laid
for
off.
it to be
The industrial
connected
sector
like
is on
up
the verge
here.
Of collapse, and worryingly, crime is on the rise.
Thanks, Kim. Always
That's
gotta watch out
invalid
for
shape.
crime, not to mention collapsing buildings. We'll have more
Okay.
after this.
I don't love that the lane comes in over here. I'd rather it come in on this side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually remove that. And we're going to bring in from here. We're going to bring this in to be on this side, if we can. So it's very hard to see here. What do we got going on? This needs to come out basically straight. So that needs to come out at a 180-degree angle. Snap only to angle right now, please. Okay. So right about there, and that's coming back invalid shape. We're going to need to make this a curve tool, of course. Okay. So right about there. Then I'd like to connect this in over here where the new lane comes in on this side. And that should come in... Oh, this is creating some pretty major issues here. What is the invalid shape coming from? I think it's coming from this intersection up over here. So this needs to be extended from here. And that's reasonably valid. Then we bring this in here, which is giving us invalid shape. Uh-huh. What happens if we try this straight line tool? That's also giving us invalid shape. I'm guessing it's this splitting off. So we'll take that out for now, and we'll replace that in a moment. And let's see about curve tool, bringing this in from here. And looking to bring this in out over this way. Yeah, this is really not wanting to do this. Let's take that little section out. And then now it seems to be working. Okay. So let's snap this only to angle. Right there seems good. Now we can turn snapping back on. And I'd like to have it be right over here. This section of highway, I want to still be 2-lane. Until we reach here. This is how I wanted it to work. Okay, now using the curve tool, we can bring this out over here, like that. Okay, we can even give this a dedicated turn lane here if we wanted to, by doing this. And that's maybe not the worst thing in the world. It's weird, no doubt about it. This is a wacky intersection. But I think we managed to cram everything in there. It's wild, no doubt about it. But it works. I think that'll do. It's very strange. But honestly, kind of not at the same time. So that seems good. We have some left-hand turns here that I would like to get rid of, and that did take a while to design this. It'll probably have some issues. I want to be clear about that. There'll probably be some congestion over here eventually, but for the time being, that should do, and we'll be able to actually start development over here next episode. That took a moment. No doubt about that. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Shadow Wolf, Andy McGar, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Soccerman12UK, Kentogan, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. But if you'd like to support the channel, I don't know where the but came from there. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.